Welcome to the Incident Command presentation of Fighting Back When We Are Attacked. My name is Cory Mock, and I'm a Senior Manager over the Incident Command Group within Information Security at Ingram Micro. For today's presentation, our objectives are going to be an introduction to the Incident Command Group, or ICG, within Information Security. We're going to discuss you've been attacked, how likely it is for a company to be attacked in our current cyber threat landscape. Then we will look at and discuss how we fight back against attackers when we are attacked. We will look at use of the Incident Command System, which is a standardized approach to emergency response using command control and coordination methods, originally used by fire departments. By using an security incident response plan consisting of roles and responsibilities for command and control, overview of the security incident response workflow, the incident severity level matrix, incident tracking. And then we will look at how we use legal risk, privacy, and external resources, how they come into play in fighting back. The Incident Command Group, who we are. The Incident Command Group, or ICG for short, is a team of 4 individuals within information security that report to the Director of Operations and the CISO. 2 of these 4 individuals are managers, and their main role is Incident Commander. 3 of the positions are based in the U.S., and 1 is in India, which gives us 24-hour coverage during a critical incident. ICG works on a daily basis with SOC, CERT, and OPSEC teams within InfoSec, and during an incident, ICG also works with other teams in InfoSec, as well as various IT groups, including system owners, to resolve the incident. ICG has been in place for 1 year at Ingram Micro and is a relatively new concept that not many companies have implemented. The individuals on the team have many combined years of law enforcement, IT, incident response, digital forensics, vulnerability management, and other investigative experience. The idea with ICG is to have a specific team that can manage all critical incidents. The benefit of ICG is that if a major incident occurs and lasts for an extended amount of time, that not all of InfoSec is completely tied up for the duration of the incident, and that there's a group that can coordinate activities and manage the incident while the rest of InfoSec goes about its daily workflow. What Incident Command Group does. Incident Command is responsible for managing cyber incidents that are classified as critical or high severity in nature, large scale, long term, posing a severe risk or business impact to Ingram Micro. While cyber incidents are the main tasks of ICG, ICG might also be involved in situations around accidental data leaks, insider attacks or threats, critical vulnerabilities like Log4j or the Fortinet firewall vulnerabilities, or even natural disasters where a large-scale IT disaster recovery effort might be required. Incident Command requires organization, communication, and coordination skills. IG's overall responsibilities include the following: maintaining the security incident response plan, which is updated on an annual basis, managing critical and high cyber incidents to include vulnerabilities, 0 days, and disaster recovery events, managing the disaster recovery function during an incident, which is authorized by the information security policy, planning and administering cyber attack simulation exercises, both internally within InfoSec and for Ingram Micro as a whole. These are usually done on a quarterly basis. Keeping up to date on the cyber threat landscape for emerging risks or threats that might affect Ingram Micro or might turn into a critical incident. And finally, managing the IM communication tool, IM Notify. IM Notify is an application that is used to notify employees in urgent or emergency situations. The tool allows for communication by email, text, or phone at the local, regional, country, or global office level. You have been attacked. The following are from the 2023 Verizon DBIR, or Data Breach Investigation Report, that is published annually. The stats below show that it is not a matter of if, but when a company will be attacked. A cyber attack occurs every 39 seconds, and it is estimated that by 2025, the annual cost will be $10.5 trillion globally. As you can see from this first statistic, no one is immune. The average time to detect a data breach is 287 days, and the average time to contain a breach is 80 days after detection. These two statistics show that a company can have a threat actor or attackers hiding in their network, spying, causing mayhem, or siphoning data on average for up to 367 days, depending on how long detection and containment takes. The amount of time is based on a number of factors, including the security preparedness of a company, what security applications and defenses do they have in place, and the skill set of the attacker and how stealthy that they want to be. In addition, threat actors, especially those that are state-sponsored, are testing all the latest security technologies to find out ways around it or ways to break it. Hackers are now focusing on breaking advanced security like biometrics and multi-factor, as well as testing new tools that are AI-driven for attacks. Security incident scenario. For purposes of this presentation, we will refer to an example security incident scenario to show you how ICG, or the Incident Command Group, would handle it and how it applies to the Security Incident Response Plan, or SIRP as it's referred to. This scenario is completely plausible depending on what security precautions have been taken and what security applications are in place. And it shows once again how important security awareness programs are, as humans are generally the weakest link when it comes to security. So the scenario is a user reports suspicious activity on their laptop after they clicked on a link in an email that they received. The link downloaded and executed a PowerShell script that encrypted files on the user's laptop and exfiltrated PII data to an external email address. In total, 3 users received the email and executed the file, getting ransomware and sending out data, but only 1 user actually reported it to the SOC. Keep this scenario in the back of your mind, as it will be addressed a little later in this presentation. Fighting back against attackers. How Ingram Micro fights back against attackers. The methodologies being discussed today are beyond the normal preventative or defensive measures. Firewalls, antivirus, security applications, identity access management, or strong passwords that you might think of when talking about how to defend or fight back against a cyber attack. This presentation is more about how we fight back after the attack has already occurred. And some of the ways that we fight back: incident command system, the security incident response plan, incident tracking, use of a crisis response team consisting of comms, legal, risk, and privacy teams at Ingram Micro, and then external resources, external legal and staff augmentation from external incident response vendors, as well as law enforcement, depending on the type of attack. Incident command system. Unfortunately, everyone is used to seeing on the nightly news federal agencies responding to hurricanes, floods, and other natural disasters. Fire departments and law enforcement agencies responding to fires, building collapses, accidents, and mass casualty events. What you may not know is that these federal agencies and other organizations are all using the incident command system. Incident command adopted and follows the incident command system, also known as ICS, a component of the National Incident Management System, NIMS, that is used by FEMA. It allows for an integrated organizational structure to match the needs of a single or multiple incident. And it establishes a chain of command hierarchy, where incident objectives are properly outlined, followed, and tracked to completion. Operational resources are assigned, directed, and held accountable. And communication is organized and contained, flowing up and down the hierarchy, allowing for both control and dissemination of sensitive information. ICS can be used on any sized security incident and scaled up or down depending on the needs and changing factors, and it provides organization and planning components. ICS is beneficial for incident response because the resources that are used for the org structure in an incident will likely vary each time. The idea is for the incident commander to pick a small subset from each team involved based on experience or the need to work the security incident. Each subset will have a team lead or manager that meets with the incident commander, who then assigns and checks on the status of tasks. The lead from each team then reports back on the status of the task and findings at several intervals throughout the day as determined by the incident commander. This keeps the work flowing and the incident moving towards resolution and not getting stuck in the mud, tasks being duplicated, or people confused with who is working what. This structure also allows assigned responders to be on the ground getting as much of their analysis work done with minimal interruptions or sitting on bridge calls all day. During an incident, ICS also allows for resources to be quickly increased or reduced as the incident grows or is contained, and allows the remainder of teams to go about their daily tasks. An example of how it helps with our ransomware scenario, due to the number of systems involved, only 3, and if there's no apparent spread of ransomware, there might be only a few analysts from SOC and CERT assigned to the incident, instead of everyone from both teams piling on and not having visibility to other threats or incidents occurring in the environment that might need to be addressed. In my past employment without ICS, due to an incident, I have seen entire security departments sitting around on calls for months trying to resolve tasks and not getting anything else done and creating a security risk for the company. Fighting back, the incident command system planning process. Ingram Micro uses the Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA cycle as part of the incident command system. In the PDCA cycle, there are 5 primary phases. This part of ICS is incorporated into the incident response plan and the workflow. These 5 primary phases should be followed in sequence and are designed to enable the accomplishment of incident objectives within a specified time frame. The primary phases of the planning process are essentially the same for the incident commander who develops the plan, as well as the managers and team leads that are assigned to work the incident. Looking at our ransomware scenario, first, we would analyze the situation, including looking at future developments. What type of incident is it? What are the factors? What happened? Where did it happen? And whom did it happen to? Did data leave the network? And if so, what type of data was it? What is the possible risk or impact for Ingram Micro if the ransomware is spreading? Number 2, establish an incident objective and strategy. In this case, we would be considering how many systems have the ransomware and what the indicators of compromise are, if known. A decision would be made on how to handle the ransomware and researching the type of ransomware or threat actor to see if it's new ransomware or if it's something that's already part of the cyber threat landscape. This information would help with ideas on how to develop a strategy and what the incident objectives would be. From there, we would develop the plan. In this case, we would contain or isolate the 3 systems, which was actually done in this situation already by the SOC. There would be forensic collection of data artifacts from the 3 systems, forensic analysis of these artifacts, and security logs to determine how they got the ransomware, what the indicators of compromise are on the system, and in addition, we would want to block any of these indicators that are found, such as an email address, a website, an IP address, or any bad files that are discovered. And then there would be the plan to interview the system owners and then remediate files from the systems or re-image them completely. Number 4, prepare and disseminate the plan. The official plan, as previously discussed, would be provided to the chosen team leads or managers during a bridge call with a completed objective time and follow-up calls scheduled to discuss the status and findings. Number 5, execute, evaluate, and revise the plan. Teams work to carry out this plan, report on status and success, meeting at a scheduled interval to discuss next steps, and then start the PDCA cycle over again. Because Ingram Micro InfoSec follows a 24/7 work schedule and during critical incidents has a shift change every 12 hours, at shift change, there would be a handoff status meeting. Progress would be noted and the existing plan reevaluated to see if any changes needed to be made to the containment or remediation strategies with the 3 involved systems and to see if there had been any spread of the ransomware in other parts of the network. This handoff discussion would also cover staffing and resources, as well as tasks, and discuss the status of those, what's outstanding, what's in progress, and what's completed. A big part of ICS is preparedness and planning. Incident Command Org Chart. So on the slide is an example of an ICS org chart showing teams that might be part of an incident. Note that not all teams or each person from a team would be involved in every incident or CERT. The incident commander and director of operations is responsible for making a decision on the types of resources and how many resources are needed to work an incident. From there, people would be grouped into teams. This is where a team lead or a team manager would work directly with the incident commander to make sure that tasks were completed by the analysts that are working under them. Also represented in the chart by the incident commander is the incident command group. The incident command group has the following roles: the primary incident commander, the backup incident commander, the primary incident commander based in India, since on India time it allows 24-hour coverage during an incident, and then the project manager, who helps manage, coordinate, and get status on incident tasks and updates the security incident response tracker. This ICS chart gets created for each incident once resource needs and activities are determined and is then recorded in the SERP workbook tracker. This is important if a need arises for legal or some other group to speak to individuals that were involved in the incident months or years after it occurred. The Security Incident Response Plan, or SERP. The SERP is not a one-size-fits-all. It varies from company to company, but it is one of the most important first steps when establishing an information security program. The SERP is a set of documented procedures that outline the steps that should be taken in each phase of the incident response process. It outlines the roles and responsibilities for incident response. The SERP workbook granularly tracks meetings, tasks, evidence, and indicators of compromise. The SERP is authorized by the Information Security Policy, and it covers anyone who's been approved for access to our systems and hardware and all assets and information. SERP is a critical part of information security and is necessary to establish steps that an organization should take to minimize damage and reduce the impact from a cybersecurity incident or breach, lines of communication and workflow, defining what a security incident actually is and what the severity levels are, which is what determines the level of response and resources that are needed. The main point is that it helps give an organization a roadmap or path to follow so it does not get mired down in an incident. It protects a company's data, reputation, or brand, which is customer trust, and revenue. A SERP is used for critical and high-rated incidents when a CERT has been declared. But there are also components of the SERP that the SOC and CERT teams follow on a daily basis. So going over roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities are very important during an incident to establish command and control and are detailed in the Security Incident Response Plan. The incident commander is responsible for looking at the incident to determine the nature and the scope. How many systems are involved? Is the activity contained, or is it still spreading? The incident commander then provides the details to the CISO so that the CISO can determine the CERT declaration and what the severity level should be. The incident commander then creates a response plan that has a containment and remediation strategy, starts a bridge, notifies resources, and sends out notifications. The incident commander also coordinates the response among the various teams and is responsible for the final incident report and any recommendations. In addition, the incident commander also determines the appropriate investigation techniques and security applications that should be used during the response. The incident commander also provides updates to leadership and legal as appropriate and works directly with data privacy when it is thought that a breach has occurred. Finally, the incident commander organizes and participates in postmortem and lesson learned meetings. The Security Incident Response Team, or CERT. The CERT team at Ingram Micro is made up of individuals from the US, India, and Romania that are experts in the field of digital forensics, incident response, reverse malware engineering, code review, and investigations. When they are not working on an incident for the incident commander, they are working investigations involving technology or providing technology support to legal, HR, or compliance. The CERT team works at the direction of the incident commander, performing forensic collections and analysis of involved systems, devices, and any related network or security application logs. CERT also is responsible for determining the blast radius and the containment status. CERT performs an analysis of the timeline of events, looks for suspicious files, and encrypted files. CERT also provides recommendations on next steps based on their findings. And very important step, they document the chain of custody and evidence in a final report. The Security Operations Center, or SOC. The Ingram Micro SOC operates 24/7 with analysts based out of the US, Costa Rica, India, and Manila. They are on the front line of monitoring, detection, and analysis of security alerts and threat intelligence coming into Ingram Micro. They are responsible for the initial incident detection, analysis, containment, and escalation to CERT and incident command. Once indicators of compromise are developed, they would assist in containment and monitoring strategies and are responsible for immediately escalating any new activity to the incident commander while an incident is being worked. They also perform continuous monitoring for any indicators of compromise, threat intelligence, or analysis that are related to the critical incident. Security architecture. During the incident, the information security architecture team would be the primary SME or subject matter expert for incident command and provide any needed infrastructure knowledge. In addition, security architecture would assist in identifying other relevant SMEs outside of InfoSec related to involved systems and would work with incident command on any strategic recommendations to prevent the incident from being able to occur again and to improve the overall security posture. Offensive security. The team assists CERT in validating the attacker methodology used to compromise the user workstations in our ransomware scenario. They would also research using vulnerability scanners to see if there were any vulnerabilities that existed on systems that allowed the ransomware activity to occur. If a vulnerability existed, OffSec would identify the scope of the vulnerability in the enterprise and work with IT to remediate this as soon as possible by pushing out a fix. Any vulnerability scanning or remediation activities are completed after CERT preservation tasks have been completed so that potential evidence is not deleted or altered in any way. The NIST Incident Response Lifecycle. NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology. NIST is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce and is one of the nation's oldest physical science laboratories. NIST's mission is to promote U.S. innovation and industrial competitiveness by advancing measurement science, standards, and technology in ways that enhance economic security and improve our quality of life. As part of their Computer Security Resource Center, NIST publishes a cybersecurity framework that has become the foundation of many companies' security incident response plans. The IR lifecycle depicted in the slide above is part of the NIST framework, and Ingram Micro InfoSec has modified a version of this into its security incident response plan. NIST lifecycle has 4 phases for an incident: preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, and post-incident activity. Ingram Micro, SOC, and CERT teams are already using this best practice lifecycle in their daily activities. And it's important to note that there are several best practice incident response lifecycles out there, and that the NIST IR lifecycle is just one of these. Security incident response process. This is an introduction to our modified and expanded NIST lifecycle. The workflow is color mapped to the various lifecycle phases shown on the previous slide. Note that the preparation phase is left out of this workflow, but that the Incident Command Group, SOC, and CERT are heavily involved in identifying and assisting in implementing new security tools and processes. SOC and CERT are following parts of this workflow already every single day. And when a critical incident occurs and a CERT is declared, that is when all the pieces of the workflow and the teams come together. As we go through the phases of the IR process workflow, we will show how it would be applied to the example ransomware scenario. Detection and analysis, SOC. Security event. Suspicious report from user that they received an email and they clicked on a link that installed ransomware. SOC is going to create a ticket for that. Triage. SOC is going to query their security tools for any activity on the user's workstation that appears to be suspicious. They're going to look for that same activity on other systems and look for any network connections related to that activity. Containment. SOC finds suspicious file activity on the user's machine and 2 others. All 3 systems are isolated for further investigation. Escalation. A report is completed and forwarded to CERT and Incident Command for follow-up. Containment, eradication, and recovery. Incident Command. Due to ransomware, the CISO is notified and declares a CERT. Incident Command starts up a meeting and initiates the security incident response plan. Notifications are made. Initial containment and remediation plan is created, which would be the isolation of any additional systems, whether they're workstations or servers, that are found to contain ransomware. The CERT is directed to collect forensic artifacts from workstations, perform analysis, and find indicators of compromise that can be given to the SOC for monitoring. In addition, these activities also occur during the first part of the containment, eradication, and recovery phase. The ICS org chart is created with the resources needed and meetings and a bridge started. The CERT tracker is also created. The incident response plan is executed with tasks being given out to management or leads in the ICS org chart for completion. The plan is then rechecked every 12 hours at handoff to the India and Manila teams to determine if adjustments need to be made using the PDCA cycle. At any time, the cycle can be restarted depending on additional factors or actions by an attacker or indicators of compromise that are developed during the investigation. Note that activities in both the containment and the collection boxes can be occurring simultaneously. Additional searches are performed for developed IOCs, IP address, email address, ransomware file extensions to validate that the ransomware has not continued to spread. Incident Command works with IT to reimage the machines that are involved and remediate any malicious files found on the network. Additional blocks for found IP addresses, email addresses, or file execution activity related to the ransomware are added to security tools for monitoring. Post-incident activity. CERT and Incident Command collaborate on a final report of the incident that contains an executive summary explaining the who, what, and how, as well as providing recommendations. The incident and all tickets are then closed. Strategic recommendations are reviewed and any projects proposed to improve the overall security posture. The final incident report is comprised of information from all of the SOC and CERT reports that are created during the incident, as well as the details that are logged in the CERT tracker workbook. The final report is for dissemination to executives and legal. Some incidents may remain open for a while until all tasks have been completed. Strategic recommendations should be included to prevent any reoccurrence. Recommendations may come from teams or subject matter experts that were involved in the incident. The Security Incident Response Severity Matrix, Incident Rating Examples. So the severity matrix chart is used to rate an incident, and it determines the severity level and how urgent the response needs to be. Incident Command relies on its extensive training experience to make a final determination of the severity level based on the incident details and the risk or business impact to Ingram Micro. A critical or SEV1 severity level is a data breach or a data leak involving PII or ransomware that has not been contained and is considered the most serious type of incident. A high or severity 2 could be a published vulnerability affecting critical internal or external facing systems. Log4j is a good example of that. Or it could be a compromise of a technical documentation such as a network diagram. A medium or severity 3 is a control deficiency or a logging failure on a critical system. Or it could be an incident affecting a small group of users. A low severity or a SEV4 could be a malware execution that's blocked by a security tool, a detected network scan from an unauthorized source, or attempted access to an unauthorized site. The CERT Tracker Workbook. The CERT Tracker is a self-contained workbook, one created per incident. It logs all relevant details so it can stand on its own to show what happened, even months or years after the incident, and details everyone that was involved in the incident. It is stored with all of the case and evidence files and the final report. The CERT Tracker Workbook contains an incident-specific work chart. It tracks tasks and assignments. It creates a timeline of events. It also tracks incident meetings and attendees. It tracks the forensic analysis for each system that's involved. It provides an inventory of the evidence collected and an inventory of all indicators of compromise that were found and searched. Contains a reference guide and a contact list. The CERT Workbook. This slide shows examples from some of the tabs in the workbook from a recent cyber exercise. The timeline tab is important as it shows the timeline of events the reporting of facts, and determining what actually happened. The Evidence tab is important as it shows the inventory of all evidence collected in the incident, the file size and storage location, as well as chain of custody details such as date and time collected, who collected it, and the hash value. The Tasks tab is important to make sure that all objectives have been completed, shows who completed them, and what the outcome or the findings were. Tracking tasks makes sure that all aspects of instance or systems involved do not get overlooked, as well as showing who was assigned those to make sure that there is accountability. All of the data from the tabs in the workbook are used to aid in completion of the final report and timeline charts, which may be disseminated to legal and executive staff. The Crisis Response Team. Incident Command works with the Crisis Response Team so that they can perform their necessary functions related to the incident. The Crisis Response Team consists of key individuals from legal, data privacy, risk, and corporate communications. The initial incident details are provided to CRT with daily status updates, and they are also included in meetings where needed. The following is how Incident Command interacts with these teams and how they assist us during an incident. Legal. Legal makes legal decisions, requests investigations, and provides attorney-client privilege and confidentiality. Legal also engages when lawsuits are filed against the company resulting from a cyber or privacy incident. In some cases, legal may pursue charges against an attacker once identified and will seek out a federal law enforcement agency or an attorney general to assist. Sometimes legal will also engage outside counsel for additional assistance. Data privacy. Data privacy makes a determination based on information from the incident and what jurisdiction is involved, whether it be state or country, where the incident occurred, that a breach notification may or may not be required. Data privacy also provides information as well to determine what types of assistance might be provided to the victims. Risk. Risk works with the insurance company to determine if cyber risk insurance will cover the cost of the response to the incident. Communications team. Communications team works with incident details to provide varying levels of notification based on the audience. The communication team also provides statements to the media and Ingram Micro business partners. Thank you for listening to today's presentation. I hope that it was informative and that you learned something new about how Ingram Micro responds and fights back against cyber attackers.